Hello, everyone. My group and I will be presenting our innovation project, and our topic is the reduction of prescription drug prices. My name is Isabel.
My name is Joanna.
My name is Kaylin.
And I'm Marina.
So, just an introduction on our topic. Currently, in the United States, Food and Drug Administration does not have any authority on setting prices for prescription drugs. With this proposal, we intend to create regulations from a new FDA branch to more exclusively establish fair prescription drug prices. In the United States, from 2007 to 2016, the cost of the EpiPen has increased by 500%, and the cost of insulin has tripled. This is a clear example of how not regulating drug prices can allow for drug prices to dramatically increase. With the formation of the Center of Drug Pricing, prescription drug prices will become more affordable for Americans who rely on these drugs. Next slide, please. So just some background. Overpriced prescription drugs have caused many people to hold back on getting their medication because many cannot afford it, especially those who do not have health insurance. The United States is a leading country to spend the most money on prescription drugs than any other country in the world. Numerous countries have their governments price control and regulate drug prices. However, though drug costs are still constantly rising to this day, our country has not adopted any of these accommodations. Next slide, please. So when we take a look at other industrialized countries and how they regulate their drug prices, we see that the United States spends more on pharmaceutical drugs per capita. With a similar economy, France takes on a different approach to assure that medicine is affordable by weighing the risk to benefit ratio to support their importance. This allows for certain medicines to either stay in or be pulled off the market. Next slide, please. So I will now be passing it on to Kaylin, and she's going to be talking about our proposal.
Thank you, Isabel, for introducing our innovation. So now I will begin by talking about our staffing. Currently, within the FDA, there's a branch named the Center for Drug Evaluation and Research, which focuses on the safety and effectiveness of drugs on the market. We propose that a new branch is created to monitor and regulate drug prices in the US. A new branch in the FDA is created to monitor, like I said, and it would be called the Center of Drug Pricing, the CDP. For this new branch, it would require new staff to be hired or staff from the Center for Drug Evaluation and Research to be trained on drug pricing referencing. The Center of Drug Pricing would work closely with the Center for Drug Evaluation and Research to ensure that Americans are receiving safe and affordable drug products. Staff would be responsible for monitoring drug prices that were previously made and adjusting them to fit the cost and demand. Next slide, please. So furthermore, the staff would be in direct contact with drug manufacturers in the negotiation process and would need to ensure that drug manufacturers have a profit margin of at most 20%. The staff for the Center of Drug Pricing would need to access international drug prices to reference prices and make a reasonable judgment with that knowledge. It would be most ideal if an experienced administrator that is educated on drug pricing from another industrialized country could operate and lead the Center of Drug Pricing. This leadership could influence and train new staff members on the procedures and daily operations. Referencing pricing will be beneficial in setting affordable prices for prescription drugs in comparison to industrialized countries that spend less per capita on prescription drugs. Next slide, please. So now I will be passing it on to Marina, who is going to talk further on our operations.
Thank you, Kaylin. I will be discussing the operations of the Center of Drug Pricing. So basically, the drug companies would submit a proposal of what they believe would be a reasonable price for their product. Then it would go under review by the Center of Drug Pricing. And staff members in the Center of Drug Pricing will be strictly responsible for reviewing these proposals and coordinating with the Center for Drug Evaluation and Research staff members to ensure the safety of the drug before pricing them. Next slide, please. Now I'll be discussing financing. So overall, prescription drug expenses worldwide in 2020 come out to about $1.3 trillion, with the United States alone spending $350 billion of that amount. We propose that utilizing this excess amount of money spent per capita on prescription drugs can be redistributed to staff members' salaries and help the FDA operate more smoothly in all branches. We anticipate high costs for new staff salaries, the creation of the new branch, and the execution of operations. To kind of give reference where we're getting this data, researchers at Memorial Sloan Kettering compared costs of the top 20 top selling drugs in the United States to the prices in Canada and Europe. Overall, they found that the cumulative revenue from these massive price differences can cover all the drug research and development costs by 15 varying drug companies that make these drugs. This kind of shows that financing will be difficult and require a lot of meticulous planning, but we believe that the changes we will make will outweigh the damage that is already done by the pharmaceutical industry. Now I'll be passing on to Joanna to speak about the values.
Thank you, Marina. So I will be going over a little bit more on this proposal. So we see that prescription drugs, with this proposal, we will have prescription drugs be more affordable, as most Americans utilize this at least once in their life. For those who suffer from chronic illnesses, this regulation would reduce the financial burden of prescription drugs. Also, vulnerable patients won't have as much of a financial crisis when it comes to their health and longevity. The price of drugs shouldn't depend on what area of the world a person is from. The value of this regulation is that everyone has fair prices, no matter the geographical location or socioeconomic status. So some observations are, we see this trend that prescription drug prices are increasing to the point where it is unaffordable and it directly affects the livelihood of Americans. So just to wrap things up, we understand that too many Americans are relying on these prescription drugs just to stay alive. So with this proposal, legislators Legislators have made multiple attempts to control the industry of pharmaceutical drugs, but have been unsuccessful. Currently, there's too much power, too much money, and influence in the pharmaceutical industry that is extremely difficult to pass by any legislation. With that, the pharmaceutical industry is not being regulated, therefore allowing them to control the prices of prescription drugs. The pharmaceutical industry is making too high of a profit. So incorporating a new branch will, one, avoid legislative complications, and two, directly place pricing on drugs through the FDA approval process. So our final request for this proposal is that this innovation would have made the most impact on those who rely on pharmaceutical drugs and would make a huge difference in our healthcare practices. Overpriced prescription drugs are the reason why there are ongoing cases of many diseases. Unfortunately, genetics and unfortunate health circumstances shouldn't be the reason why citizens of the country go bankrupt or in poverty. Here's a list of our references, and we thank you guys so much for listening.